What's up, everybody? My name is Isaac Huss, and today I'm going to talk about how to get over the fear of rejection. The single most magical moment in dating is when I like her, she likes me, and we both know it. The hard part in getting there? Someone's got to make a move, a vulnerable move. Someone's got to show his or her cards in order for us to find out if we can make a pair. This proverbial making a move into that vulnerable space of telling someone how you feel and you're not quite sure how they feel, it's a difficult one. Whether it's at the very beginning when you're asking someone out, to later on when you're thinking about, I love you, to proposing marriage. In fact, you could argue that the entire romantic experience is one moment after another of putting yourself out there and hoping that your feelings will be reciprocated. For many of us, the number one difficulty is a fear of rejection. What if she doesn't want to go out on a date with me? What if she doesn't love me, or at least not yet? What if she's not so sure she wants to spend the rest of her life with me? The fear of rejection can be downright crippling sometimes, but that doesn't mean it can't be overcome. To that end, allow me to recommend embrace the chase, anticipate regret, and act with alacrity. So here are my 3 pieces of advice on how to overcome your fear of rejection. Number 1, embrace the chase. Recently, I was messaging a girl on a dating app, and I told her that I enjoy the chase. She responded negatively to that and said that she had actually moved out of that phase in college. I tried to explain, and then she stopped talking to me. So I do feel the need to explain what I don't mean by that, and that is I'm not saying that we should enjoy some sort of cat and mouse game running around in circles for the sake of some cheap thrills and nothing more. In fact, some games like golf, for instance, the vast majority of the players are losers with just one winner. It seems to me to enjoy golf, you actually have to get used to the idea of losing pretty much all the time, or at the very least, rarely approaching perfection. The way I see it, if my goal is marriage, I only need to win in the dating game once. So who cares if that's preceded by 99 losses or even 999 losses? All it takes is once to win big. Chances are you're not going to win on the first try or even the first handful of tries. So better to start out with that in mind and embrace it. Or as a wise man once said, trust the process. Or as a wiser man once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Number 2, anticipate regret. Speaking of not taking shots, I've found that one of the most motivating ways to convince myself to make a move is to think about how I would feel and what I would think after the fact if I chose not to make that move. This is most clearly the case when something would require something in public along the lines of a cold approach, if you will. So with that in mind, let me tell you a little story. Recently, I was at a Sunday Mass, and I held 2 tickets for an outdoor Sunday brunch with mimosas that the church was hosting for the young adults afterwards. I had bought 2 tickets because there was a couples discount, and I've got a buddy that I thought, maybe he'll go, or maybe somebody will have forgotten to get a ticket, or I can donate it back to the church. Eventually, I had found out my buddy wasn't going, but by the time I got into church, I didn't think too much of it. Until I saw her. She was blonde, beautiful, dignified, and she was sitting alone at Mass, just like I was. She was so beautiful and dignified and even mature, but not in an unyouthful way, that I thought surely she must be married or otherwise not on the market. But I didn't see a ring on her finger, and I thought, when it comes to invitations, a champagne brunch after Mass on a Sunday is probably one of the lower risk and potentially higher reward invitations I could offer. So I decided to go for it. Well, wouldn't you know, As I headed in her direction, she zigged when I thought she would zag, and she walked really fast, and I walked kind of slow. And eventually, there was no natural way for me to enter into this conversation to the point where I would have had to kind of yell out at her, excuse me, miss. And I did not want to do that, but I kept walking until it was more obvious this was never going to happen, and I kind of tailed off with my own tail firmly between my legs. And let me tell you, the regret that I felt in that moment was stronger and frankly more painful than any embarrassment I did feel or would have felt had I even awkwardly blurted out, excuse me, miss, and actually extended this invitation. And frankly, to this day, I think about that moment and I think about how I have resolved to next time actually man up, if nothing else, just to avoid the possibility of feeling regret, but also knowing that, again, the risk is low and the potential reward is high. So with that in mind, I invite you to do the same. Think about, if you're faced with a similar dilemma, how you might feel afterwards if you choose not to, versus how you would feel afterwards after at least trying. If nothing else, I think you'll find a lot of satisfaction even in attempting something that maybe scared you and was difficult, and again, was maybe some risk involved, but with the idea of the potential reward from doing so. Let me tell you, the regret that I felt in that moment was much stronger and much more painful than any embarrassment or awkwardness that I did feel or would have felt had I called out to her. In fact, it's motivated me since then. It was enough for me to conclude that if I were ever to have the same opportunity, whether it was at St. Thomas the Apostle Catholic Church in Phoenix, Arizona with some beautiful, dignified blonde, or somewhere else with someone else, I was going to use that experience to motivate myself to actually man up the next time and follow through with my intentions. And I encourage you to do the same. I'll even say, too, that the times that I have actually manned up and still failed, whether she was actually not on the market or she wasn't interested, just flat out, there's still some satisfaction with having tried and conquered my anxieties and my inhibitions. And if nothing else, I'm better for it, for the experience, and probably better prepared for the next time. Number 3, act with alacrity. The hero of my life, the late great Father Bill Bear, God rest him, was known for many things. One in particular was his incisive sermons on obscure virtues, like alacrity, for instance. To put it succinctly, alacrity is a virtue of doing good without delay. Father Bear was the rector of the seminary, which means he helped the young seminarians to try to figure out if they were actually called to the priesthood or not, which means inevitably most of them would actually leave the seminary and go on to do other things. And he would give the same piece of advice straight from the mouth of our Lord to all of them upon their leaving the seminary. And that was, whatever you are to do, do it quickly. Never mind that our Lord was actually speaking that to Judas, and we kind of know how that went, but I digress. Father Bill Bear's point was, get on with your life. Don't go clowning around for years as bachelors, but go find a woman and get married. If you're ever struggling with procrastination, for instance, alacrity is a great virtue to pray for and to cultivate. Sure, I oftentimes work better under pressure, and it even seems like sometimes I can't even operate without being under the gun of a serious deadline. But I also know that when I'm under the gun of a deadline, I'm less able to pause and help someone when they're faced with a need. I also know that if I haven't done my due diligence ahead of time, that I'm often not able to even do my work as well as I would have otherwise. In a very real sense, if I had acted earlier with alacrity, I'd be better able to pause and help someone in their time of need, and even better prepared myself to do my job to the best of my abilities. When it comes to dating and rejection, it's possible that we'll increase our chances by waiting for the perfect possible moment to approach that dignified blonde at church, or to ask the girl out from the dating app, or to say I love you to your girlfriend, or to ask her dad for permission to ask her to marry you. It's also possible that that perfect moment will never come and then you'll miss your chance. But here's what I've found about praying for alacrity and reflecting on my need of it in my own life. It's that it's probably not going to just drop out of the sky the moment I need it. Instead, it's more likely something that I need to cultivate through other virtuous decisions beforehand, big or small. Like, for instance, how my decision to get out of bed at the alarm sound without hitting snooze 5 times helps me to be more productive during the morning and then the afternoon. But that first decision was predicated by the decision to go to bed at a decent time the night before. And that decision was made easier by me logging off of Twitter after 5 minutes instead of 55. So in other words, if you want the ability to act decisively in the moment without delay, whether in your romantic relationships or in your life, without the fear of rejection, cultivate virtue in your life, magnanimity, courage, prudence, alacrity. All right, that's all I have for you today. But again, this is only meant to be the beginning of the conversation. Did you agree with my points or disagree? I want to hear all about it. What kind of advice would you give to somebody to help overcome their fear of rejection? What has worked in your own life? Maybe you have a story that you were able to overcome some of your own demons. That's what that comment section below is for. Let me know your thoughts on this video and also what topics you want us to cover in the future. If you like what you heard, please hit that like button and subscribe to our video so you won't miss any ones in the future. Thanks for watching, and look forward to seeing you next time.